Hey there, English 214, Section 34. So today I want to talk about the community service I did, the editorial responses I did, and what I learned from the class overall. So I did two parts for my community service. I first ran along the beach to complete the last 2 hours that I needed, and for the bulk of it, I went and volunteered down in Sunnyvale at a food pantry for 4 weekends in a row. So that was interesting. Because the first weekend I was with my cousin, the rest of the weekends I was not. So it was a little bit weird. I was a little bit out of my element, especially because it was in a church, and I am not a religious person. So while I do support people that are, I myself am not. But yeah, so let's get into it. What I learned from the volunteering at the food pantry is that the people who care are actually few and very far apart. Most people are returners. There were very few new faces there. And they were actually excited to see me, a new face, when I got there first. These people also have the best relationship with their community, family, and friends. And I believe that stems from the fact that they are so selfless. And this selflessness is intrinsic. They are by nature selfless. So I think that's one thing that really sets people like that apart. They don't use favors as a mechanism to get ahead. They just simply are like that, which I think is something amazing. I think we can all take a page out of their notebook and write it in our own. And these people aren't filthy rich or anything like that. They're not heads of organizations or huge CEO companies. They're just people like you and me, just a little older maybe, have a little bit more experience in their communities. So I've rarely ever been around a person like that, let alone an entire group. But I also learned how to organize food pantries from them. So basically, the rundown is you have to find a grocery store, because find a grocery store that's willing to work with you. Because most grocery stores will actually throw away the bulk of what's on their shelf. They don't actually sell very much of it. They have very specific rules on how long you can keep an item on the shelf. Like their shelf lives are pretty short, especially here in California. So first thing you want to do is find that grocery store that's going to help you out. The next thing you want to do is find a place to distribute the food. And I think the best place to do that is going to be at a church, because usually they'll just let you use the space free of charge. So it's not like you're paying out of pocket to rent out a spot, blow your entire budget for the rest of whatever you might want to do. As for the beach runs, I learned that not as many people care about the planet, and it's really messed up to think that way, because you would think you see your classmates and you're like, hopefully they wouldn't leave a solo red cup on the beach. It's really easy to just get it in a bag and pick it up and be done with it. However, I did think there would be a lot more litter on the beach, which there was actually not as much as I thought. So that wasn't very hard. I thought I'd be carrying around a bag full. It got maybe half full each time. So it's not as bad as I thought, but it really is still, if everyone just picked their stuff up, there would be no need for any of that. Also, a lot of it probably gets washed away. The tide comes in and out. So that's another thing to keep in mind for me. One more thing I learned about that on a personal level is that you actually don't need very much support to do these kind of things. So you don't need an organization to sponsor you to go clean up a beach. You just do it. So pretty much, I went online trying to find an organization that would do it, and every single one was actually charging for tickets for their event, which I think is really counterintuitive to what it means to be a volunteer. You shouldn't have to pay for these kinds of things. They shouldn't be trying to make a buck out of you. Although I don't know if that was their point. But for the beach cleanup, I went from John Daly Boulevard here and went around down to Ocean Beach, went across behind Lake Merced here, came across, and where this is slope, just came down back on slope and went back home, which is in the Westlake area. So that whole span is about 1.5 miles or 2, and there actually wasn't very much, sorry, I got out of focus, there actually wasn't very much trash on there. On that beach. So again, just a tiny bit of more consciousness about this kind of thing, and it wouldn't be a problem. In the future, I'd like to design machinery that cleans our waters very, very efficiently and without very much human involvement at all. So there are already people that go out and clean the streets just because they need to make a buck, and that's the only way they know how to just clean up, pick up plastic bottles and go recycle them. So in the future, I'd like to design a machine that it's actually going to go in the ocean using artificial intelligence, and it knows when it's full, knows where it's going, and knows where to go to find plastic. Hopefully this would come back and people could sort through it. The people that already do that for free would hopefully sort through all this, and pick out the plastic, pick out all the reusable materials, and go and make a buck out of it, because that's how everyone wins. I'm learning to code right now. I'm learning to engineer stuff, so hopefully I can use those skills and bring it into the environmental sciences, which have always been of interest to me. Yeah, and hopefully once we get this plastic back from the ocean, we can repurpose it for something that's actually going to be used more than once, rather than like today we have plastic bottles that we use and chug and throw away. I think that's the worst way to do it. Yeah. As for the editorial response and what I learned from the rest of the class, I learned that delimiting my scope of any topic really is very, very difficult for me. So I loved the first topic I had death and why you shouldn't be sad over it. But I learned that for me personally, it was too big of a topic for a class, for this class, I mean, and there was just too much to say about it. There wasn't enough, it wasn't specific enough, basically. I changed my topic to something more specific, and I was able to dissect it a lot more and really indulge in the details of it. And that was what it means to be able to assess how your teachers are teaching you in classes from an early age. So I did it from middle school, and I think that would help everyone really, because these middle schoolers are the teachers and the scientists and the professionals of tomorrow. So I think that allowing them to actually think about how they learn best and allowing them to have a say in who's going to be teaching them and how they're going to be teaching them is super important to their own critical thinking and knowing how they learn best. So it's difficult because a teacher might feel attacked, a teacher might feel like there are other factors to their teaching, but to me the point is these students should be learning, and to do that best you need to know from them how they learn best and really tailor an education to how they would learn. That's pretty much all I have for you all today. I hope you all the best in the rest of your college career as the stepping stone of a GE comes to a close, and I hope you've taken quite a bit from this class as I did. So yeah, have a good rest of your year.